Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another Hangout and highlight session, and I'm really excited about this one to share. I was gonna say share my guy, to highlight my guy, Will Baggett, with you guys. He's doing some great stuff. Good-hearted guy, hard-working dude. Pouring lots of positives into our world. And so just wanted to highlight him so you guys can get an idea of who he is and show him some love. But man, first off, Will, man, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with the Success Chronicles.
Absolutely, man. The Success Chronicles is a platform and podcast that I follow for many years, man. All the wonderful guests you've had on. And like I said, anytime you're able to build a platform to support other people, to help share their message, it just really just shows your servant's heart. So I just really admire how you're going about your business, bro, just all the books that you've contributed to and how you're spreading your message across the world, bro. It's exciting to watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let's dive into it, man. If you don't mind sharing with the audience, a little bit about who you are and your background so they have an idea of who you are and what it is you do.
Yeah, man, I hail from the great state, America's country of Mississippi, man. So grew up in Grenada, Mississippi. It's equidistant between Jackson, Mississippi and Memphis, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So we call it Mississippi is where we call it where I'm from, man. We got a lot of gas stations and hotels. So if you ever in the area, you know what to get and keep on rolling, man. But yeah, I-55 North, man, is where I was raised. Really had a great upbringing, man, great childhood. And I went to Ole Miss to get my undergrad degree and got my master's degree at Baylor University in sport management and exercise science. Moved on from there to go to the American Football Coaches Association in Waco, Texas. Really enjoyed my time there, man. Got to work with a lot of big name coaches and really where I got my start in sport administration and event management. And honestly, where I just became the huge beneficiary of great mentorship. Growing up, my dad, I'm seventh generation entrepreneur. So let me just start there. I'm seventh generation. So my grandfather down to my middle brother, all of us business owners, right? And when I was getting into the sports world, I didn't really have anyone to lean on in my family who'd worked a corporate job before. And so I had to lean on some mentors that I hadn't met before. And that led to the creation of our first book, The Blueprint for a Successful Career. And I think right now still have 5 stars. Hopefully nobody hated on us since last time I checked it, but hopefully that's still live. But honestly, the biggest thing has been getting the feedback from people that says, hey, this helped me in my life. This helped me land this job. This helped me with this professional relationship I was trying to build. That is the most gratifying thing that can come from putting your thoughts on the paper. And honestly, I've learned in that process that there are so many people that have great things to share and they're great people and people want to support them, but you have to put something out for them to support. That's the biggest thing. And so, I've learned to just go ahead and move forward, go get it, as Chip would say, and don't wait on anything bad to happen. So that was that journey, but getting back on track. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl as an intern for 9 months. I enjoyed that. Then I went to IMG doing apparel licensing. After that, went to the college football playoff where I spent 3 years doing operations, credentialing, security, you name it, probably did it. I was kind of the utility guy. And then spent some time at on-location events and did the Super Bowl in 2022 in Los Angeles. So really enjoyed that experience as well. And I've done a number of Final Fours. I mean, women's Final Fours, men's Final Fours. And I think once I got to that point, in 2022, and when I worked that Super Bowl, that was kind of me checking all the boxes. And I knew I was kind of ready to go out on my own. And ever since then, I've been building my personal brand, finished my second book in January, and also now building Monetize Your Message with my business partner, Darren K. Roberts.
That's awesome, man. So well, let's man, such a cool journey just to, just to hear all those things. And a lot of that stuff I knew, but just to hear it again, man, you just think about like you said when you started, you were blessed to have some great mentors. And you think about that journey, there's lots of great people that you've come in contact with. Starting with your family, starting with your family, and then I also, ooh, this is good right here. So I also thought about this, man. Um, your ROI determines your ROI. And what I mean by that is if you picture a radar, I'm picturing, each time you had to make moves, you had to get outside your box,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
um, that radar of influence has gotten bigger
Oh,
as it's grown and it's gone to different spaces. And what that's done is that has determined your return on your investment,
that's right. Yeah.
right? And so your ROI determines your ROI. And I think it's inverse. If you
Mm-hmm.
switch it up,
Mm-hmm.
your return on your investment determines your radar of influence. And so,
Absolutely.
man, as I heard you talk about your journey, like I was just thinking about all of the amazing people that you've been blessed to come in contact with, that you've been blessed to learn from. But
Mhm.
those things don't happen if you don't put the work in,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
And so I think it's great to hear that. It's encouraging to hear that as well, and inspiring because I think it just shows like anything that you want to achieve, do, be, see. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess a few things I left out before I got the call to work at the American Football Coaches Association, which was a grad assistantship while I was at Baylor.
Hmm.
6 months prior, I was at Walmart stocking shelves,
Hmm.
and I had a guy I met with at Ole Miss. He pulled me into his office. He gave me the book, The $40 Million Slaves, told me to read that, helped me with my personal statement. And then I met another guy. I was in the weight room. So I was a weight room intern or strength and conditioning intern while at Ole Miss. And I ended up coaching another 4 or 5 years after that on a volunteer basis. But I met a guy in the weight room one time, and he said he liked how I served the student athletes. So I would give the student athletes bagels and things like that. He just watched me. And so I was getting ready to graduate, and we finally struck up a conversation. And he worked in the Career Center, and he's the one that did my resume for me. I was able to submit that along with my personal statement from another gentleman. And so it's always a beautiful thing when people who may not even know each other are working in conjunction or working, collaboratively, to an expected end or to some kind of outcome or desired goal. And so that's really, even before then, I learned the power of relationships, but that
Yeah.
solidified it all the more, and just also the timing of it. I'm just big on timing. And also, you make the timing what it is by taking action, right? When I was writing my first book, I remember sometimes being anxious about getting it out and getting it finished. But I had to remember, no one is necessarily waiting on it. Yeah, we were talking about we marketed it some, but whether I drop in September, October, November, whatever, when the time when it's released, the time will be right. So I've learned to take pressure off of myself. So some people set writing blocks, like my mentor Darren. Every Wednesday he's writing. And I've had to learn that, what works for me works for me. So I may write for 2 weeks straight, then I won't touch it for another 2 months. And I don't feel bad about it. Right. And so
Yeah.
once I got past those barriers and got on my own schedule, I think that was a major unlock for me in my career.
So good, man. So, you're the most recent things, and correct me if I'm wrong here, the two most recent things that you're working on, you released your second book, and then you're doing monetize your message, right? So what I'd like for you to do is just talk about both of those so that the audience can have an idea about what that is, and let them know where they can go get the book. Also let them know whether if they're interested in checking out the monetize your message, where they can go check it out and give you some business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've been a speaker for 6 years. My 6 year anniversary is on the 26th of this month. So February 26th will be my six year anniversary as a professional speaker. And To kind of give some background on it, my first engagement in the athletic space was paid, and it was a huge blessing because a guy saw value in what I was doing. I didn't have any reps. I had not done any other engagements, in that, and what I was talking about, what I saw to teach about to his student athletes. But he said, hey, let me just buy, 30 of your books. I'll give you $10 a piece for them. And my first gave was $300. And so that kind of led down the path. Okay, I can do this. This is possible, right? And I, built my brand mostly using social media. Didn't have a website at first. So long story short, I ended up getting connected to a guy named Darren K. Roberts. He saw me on Twitter, and I think someone had told him about one of my speeches. He hits me up in the DMs and he says, hey, I'm a professor down at UT, University of Texas, Austin. He says, I'd love for you to come down and speak to my class. And I'm like, man, get to speak at the University of Texas. He says, look, the only thing is I don't have any money. I can pay you mileage. And of course, I drove down there. I think I got my check like $211.65. And I was just overjoyed. But what was most significant, I remember about that experience, was that he let me speak to his class, but he also took very strategic pictures of me. The pictures he took, you would thought I've been speaking for 10 years. And it was really my third engagement. Then he put me on his podcast, similar to what you're doing for me now, Chip. And then he posted it on Twitter. So there was just kind of a natural progression of intentionality to really support me. He didn't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so after that, we went and had lunch. And I went from having 2 or 3 gigs before I'd met him to 200 over the next few years. And we did not see each other in person again for 4.5 years. We didn't see each other. We interacted on social media, but that was about it. Then we saw each other in the green room backstage in Houston for the Black Student Athlete Summit. Yeah. And it was like a family reunion. I mean, it was just like long lost friends. And what I think the most gratifying part of it was he continued to grow and build his business. He's done about 430 some engagements. I've done about 200. And he was just so proud to see what I'd grown it to, right? I wasn't hitting him up every other day and, hey, Cole, we think about this. I just took the coaching and went to work. And he was just so proud. And for us to be backstage at the same event, both speaking at the same event, it was just amazing. So 2 months later, he called me from Costa Rica. He's on vacation with his family. And he said, man, you know what? There's a lot of trash information about the speaking industry online. People are taking advantage of people. They're promising this speaker in a box type of process. And you and I know it's not built like that. It's relationships, it's performance, it's strategy, it's referrals, it's social proof. And we decided to do something about it, right? You can complain about it, but when you can see an outlet or see an avenue by which to take and to create and to innovate, because I learned this in a book I read called Originals. The people that often fare the best are not always the pioneers. Sometimes it's the innovators who take from or learn from the pioneers rather, and make something better. Mm-hmm. And so I took 3 months and I went through every influencer, webinar, lead magnet on the planet. Every ad I got on social media for my search terms, I went through every single webinar, every single sales call. I went through every single one of them. I think I went through a total 46, I think. In 3 months, just to learn everything that was in the industry, the strategies, the systems, the apps they were using, the lead magnets, you name it. And I took it back to Coach, said, hey, this is what I learned. And he put the strategy together and we were rolling. And so that's how Monetize Your Message came to be. And mostly we put most of our content out on Instagram. So it's Monetize Your Message, MSG. And we're on all platforms. You type it in, you can't miss it. And we have 2 courses that we currently have up. We're in the process of shooting 3 more. The first course is basically an introduction to public speaking, and how you can get in the business, how to craft your message, find your stories of significance, your zone of expertise, all those different things. The second one talks about how a book can help boost your speaking career, how it can be leveraged to your speaking career. And one thing I learned from him and just in the business, we used to just sit in the back of the room and we would sell the books, hand by hand. And there's a place for that. You have book signings, what have you. But when you're in these large venues, 400 or 500 people, it's tough to do that when you're just a one-man show and you're traveling by yourself and you're out of town, you're not in your own locale. What we started doing is just giving the books away to all the attendees. So now everyone has some of your intellectual property. Everyone has like a business card, it's in the form of a book in their hand. And so you get the speaking fee or the investment level from the event organizer, but you also get them to write a gift in kind letter for the fair market value of the books you gave away. And that letter can be used to write off on your taxes. And that benefit far exceeds what we would have made by just selling books, hand to hand in that forum, right? So we've just learned a lot from each other. And so I brought in the video element because my background's in film and theater and acting. And it's just been a happy marriage of just, I guess, desires and just of skill sets. Because I think at the end of the day, we all want to have a positive influence and we want to put out quality information to help other people. And it's really been transformational, to say the least, honestly. So Monetize Your Message, all platforms, and the book, The Mic Check, is actually free on our website, Monetize Your Message, MSG.com. You go in there and get it for free, and they'll give us your email, and we'll probably put you on our newsletter subscriber list. But you can opt out if you want to, of course. But yeah, just know you might be hearing from us some more if you do decide to download the book.
That's awesome, man. So good. Good stuff. I think from hearing you talk about that piece, I gathered about the learning process. And you said it's a time and a place for like the book selling, and it's a time and a place for all that, but it's a time and a place for the learning too. Just like you said, I took those months, went through everything, deciphered through, and made a plan that works based off of my experience. And I think it's important that we all do those things, because what works for one may not work for another, or what one is passionate about, you may not be passionate about that, and so you have to figure out what your thing is and then dive 2 feet deep in that thing and get after it.
Absolutely. That's right. Coach always said, stay at the deep end.
Stay in the deep end.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Well, what I like to do now is, just hearing you talk about your journey, hearing you discuss, the amazing things that you got going on, I think is super successful. And what I'd like for you to share is, if there's one tip that you could give someone that is looking to be in your shoes or to achieve some of the things like you have achieved, what would that one tip for success be?
One thing I've learned from my mentors is to make sure you hear what someone is asking and not what you think they're saying, so to speak. Really just listening to the question. And so to be as practical as possible, if I was to give one piece of advice, which is tough to whittle it down to one thing, but I would say to anyone seeking any type of success or any goals or to do things similar to I've done or even better, I would say the one thing I've done is I have really taken care of people. That's the one thing I would say I've done. Whenever I'm in someone's city, whenever I'm, flying around the country, I'm pulling up. I had a buddy at church today. He was having a rough day. I could see it in his eyes. I said, hey, we're going to lunch after church. He said, oh, man, I got to go help. I said, we're going to lunch. My mentor that brought me into the CFP, he's now at the University of South Florida. 3 times a year, he gets a box of strawberry Pop-Tarts. I know that's his favorite. I have not missed a day talking to my mom since I was born 33 years ago. I take care of people. That's the one thing I could say, and in turn, people taking care of me, right? And so I had a conversation with a gentleman today, and the biggest compliment he gave me, he said, I like the way you think and I like your genuineness. And I don't know a bigger compliment you can receive, to know that, to feel seen. And so if I could say to anyone, make sure you're taking care of people, because there are a lot of transactional things that are happening in today's world. A lot of people want to be seen. A lot of people want to be owned, and everybody wants to be next up. And if you look on your Monetize Your Message, and understand this, I've done over 200 engagements, 2-time author, worked at some of the biggest organizations in the country. But if you look at our social media output, you're going to see 98% of it is my mentor, Darren K. Roberts. And I get asked all the time, wait, why aren't you, in front of the camera? Why aren't you talking more? Why aren't you putting out more content? I said, I haven't studied enough. I haven't earned that right. And I need to make sure he's taken care of and he's successful first. So whether that's setting up the camera, making sure the lighting is right, making sure that the content is on point, or teeing them up for whatever that looks like, making sure he's taken care of. To this day, I've been a volunteer strength coach for 10 years. Ole Miss, Baylor, SMU, TCU. And the reason is for that is because the gentleman who brought me in to work for him years ago, if not for those reps as a strength coach, I would not be a speaker, because that gave me a forum to practice communicating short form commands and things like that, and learning how to kind of engage an audience. So all those things have taught me how to build relationships and how to take care of people. So I want to be very careful how I answer that. So if I could say anything, that's what I would say: take care of people. But honestly, I've been really well taken care of. And the last thing I'll say to that is my dad always talked about how my grandmother was rich. And, looking at her material possessions, you didn't see a whole lot. And I'd go to their house. They have like a car or two and what have you. My grandfather was a pastor and an entrepreneur. And my grandmother didn't even drive. And so I'd ask my dad, like, what do you mean that she's rich? He says, one day you'll understand. So I got older and older. And as I look back, I reflect now, my grandmother never had to leave the house for anything. People from the church would bring her food, feminine items, whatever she needed. And so I finally understood that my grandmother was rich in relationships. She was rich in social capital. And so because of that, she never had any lack. So take care of people. That's my advice to you.
Man, that is so good. Oh my, that is good stuff right there. I turned the mute on, but I was over here clapping, right? Like, man, woo, let's go. And I think the other thing too, and I'll piggyback on that, I wholeheartedly agree. But then the next thing is, like, I know you and I've seen that from you too. So I can say, like, what you said, like it's not fluff, right? And so, I have a book tour in Dallas. Who shows up at the event to come through? You. Man, I'm coming through Houston. I'm gonna come see you. I'm like, okay, like, I'll be there tomorrow. Shoot me the address, and you come to the house.
Yeah.
And so just like things like that, it makes a huge difference. But I also agree that when you go above and beyond to take care of people, people will go above and beyond to take care of you.
Yes.
Hence the reason why we're on this Hangout and Highlight session.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, man. And I can't think of anything, better than just the power of relationships. And honestly, my favorite part of speaking is not being on stage. I get to see all my friends in different parts of the country. Yeah. That's my favorite part.
I love that, man. So good. So good. Well, as we close, I'd love for you to get an opportunity. I know you mentioned, some of your stuff with the book and the Monetize Your Message. I'd love for you to get an opportunity to share with the audience, your social media, website, all of those things where they can go follow you and show you some love and get the books and, check out the Monetize Your Message and be a part of all of the things that you have going on.
Absolutely. I'll say it like Coach Prime says, I ain't hard to find. So if you type in Will Baggett on any platform, I should pop up, and my Instagram is OneBagTalk. That's OneBaggTalk. And Monetize Your Message is just like it sounds. It's just messages, MSG. But like I said, we're very intentional about what the content we put out and the audience and people that we're serving. And so we just firmly believe that you have to answer for what you did in this life and, how you treated people. And so any and everything that we put out, any audience we address, any letter we type on a paper, we know that at some point we'll have to answer for that. We'll be judged based on that. And so we just do our best to put out great content and also have, and understand the power of our influence, the impact of our influence. And so just appreciate just all your contributions and just your support and friendship. And it's just, just always cool to be among kindred spirits. So yeah, just find me anywhere. And I'd love to connect with any and everybody that's aligned with helping other people and making a huge impact.
Well, there it is. Again, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to do this Hangout and Highlight session. And thank you guys for checking out this session. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Go get it.